I live in you, you live in me, therefore I have no fear. I cling to you, you hold me close, as long as you are near. I can face any trial.
I met with Mechele McKinney Hammond, New York Times best-selling author of over 25 books, talk show host, and perhaps the most recognized face in the single Christian advice industry. I asked her to weigh in on the complicated matter of sex and the single Christian. Mechele is 48, has never been married, and has no children.
How can you date so long and still stay holy? Now, see, I'm sorry. If you're dating for 3 and 4 years, you're doing something. I think a year is enough. I think that a man knows immediately which file he puts you in right away anyway. He knows if he's put you in the friendship file, the freak file, or the forever file. You know? He does.
I think that a lot of women spend a lot of time feeling guilty. And I think that anytime we fight against who we are and how we were made and our needs, that it's like quicksand. The more you fight, the deeper in you go. And so some of the things you have to do is just have a made-up mind. Understand and recognize that your desires are normal, they're God-given desires, but also decide that you're to have desires and your desires are not to have you. We have a physiological cycle that we must accept. But we have to keep putting that back on the altar. We've got to keep giving that thing back to God. I mean, that's the problem with a living sacrifice. It keeps crawling off the altar. I was telling a male friend, I'm going to get a dog. And he said, why? And I said, because I want somebody to be happy to see me when I get home. The man was supposed to buy me the house. You know, first I had held out for the jewelry and he didn't show up to buy that. So I bought that, you know, and the coat, you know, and all the other little trinkets. So the last thing was the house. And all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, I'm getting older and I don't know when he's going to show up. And I was all excited about it. And the day after I bought it, I just kind of fell apart. A light came on one day and it was like, why is it about what somebody else can do for you? How about having something to offer?
I remember wrestling with God over a specific man in my life. I mean, literally, I had worked myself into such a frenzy over this man that the Lord just said to me, sit down. And when I sat down, he brought the scripture to me from Hebrews, and it says, for you have need of patience, for after you have done the will of God, he that will come and will not tarry. Now, I know that scripture is really in reference to Christ, but in that instant, I knew that God was saying that when I fulfilled the purpose that he had created me for, then he would send that person, and he was not putting the cart before the horse, because he knows that I am an all or nothing person. And if he had given me the man first, I would be consumed by the man. For a long time for me, I refused to let go of the idea of being married, because what else was there? Right. You know, well, I found out what else there is. There's a whole lot of other stuff going on.
No, never. Never. And let me tell you why. You can go and get that man, but if he was passive in pursuing you, he's going to be passive about other things in life that matter to you. You've gone against the grain of that man's spirit, because he was built to be a hunter. He was built to be the pursuer. Women were made to receive, and we have been trained out of that, and now we have trouble receiving. And so men are confused. They don't know what to do with us anymore. What does this woman want? They throw up their hands and they go the other way.
Mechele, why do you think you are still single?
I think that the first part of my life, I made really bad choices. I liked the wrong kind of men. And one day I realized that it wasn't them, it was me. Because we attract what we are. Subconsciously, I was a commitment phobic and didn't realize it. So I was very comfortable with other commitment phobics, even though intellectually I was insisting that I wanted to have this wonderful committed relationship. I wasn't willing to do the work that I know it takes to have a good love relationship. And I think that a lot of single women, while they're hollering and screaming about the relationship they want, are really in the same boat. They don't want to do the work. They're not really available. And men read those signals very quickly and they flee. I even had a male friend of mine telling me, I had no idea that you were interested in having a man in your life. You seem to be having a great time without any. When I meet someone, they ask me what I do play it down a bit, because if I start the list, it does seem overwhelming. So I start with one thing and I let them discover me along the way. I think that we don't spend enough time being interested in them. When a man feels that you are interested, no matter what you do, you've got him. I'm not settling. I built all this life for myself, and now I got to have somebody on my equal or above me. They got to match what. Okay, but you know what? In the end, you are settling. You're settling for being alone. Acquire it all, achieve it all, and then look at yourself in the mirror and congratulate yourself by yourself. You know, you have all these women now who've gotten all this stuff, and now they're looking for men that have acquired as much as they have, and that is not as plentiful a supply as all the women who've done all this accomplished.
Back in the day, Mechele, women graduated and they got married and they had babies, they raised their families. Now, that's not a priority.
We bought into the lie. It's a huge lie. And the lie was formed to make us all miserable. We all have an enemy, and we need to deal with that. And that's the enemy of our souls. And that's Satan. And he's convinced us that the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of the life is the way to go. And so we, like Eve, we bite into the fruit, and we find out that it's not as sweet as we thought it would be.
Biologically, the prime time to have a baby is under the age of 30.
I'm at an age now where I've, dealt with the reality that I probably will not have children. What does that mean to me? It was something that I had to lay to rest and understand that in God's infinite wisdom and knowledge for Mechele's life, it's not the best thing to do. Does that mean I will be childless? No. I have lots of children available to love. I've invested my life into my nieces and my nephews. I will be their surrogate mother. Most of the people that struggle with their biological clock, I don't see them signing up to mentor children. I don't see them putting themselves up for fostering children or adopting children. You've got to be willing to do the work. If someone goes into a diamond mine and just looks at the rock, they'd say there are no diamonds here. But once you take one of those rocks out and you start to chip away at it, that beautiful stone that we all crave and pay tons of money for is hidden deep within it.
How does one get to where you are? Practical steps.
As I began to discover my purpose and realize what my gifts really were and how they blessed other people, that's when the light came on. That's when my joy got full. And it wasn't based on a man in my life. It was based on me doing what I was created to do. A lot of people overlook the fact that the hole in their heart is not a person-sized hole. It's a purpose-sized hole and a God-sized hole. Because you know what? The bottom line, Andrea, is that God is not going to allow any person on the face of this earth to fulfill us, because then there would be no need for him. Spend our lives looking for this soulmate and overlook the present soulmate of our lives, because we really only have one soulmate, and that soulmate is God. He breathed into us the breath of life, and we became living souls. And what every single human being craves, whether they're male or female, is that eternal kiss, that eternal connection that cannot be broken.